Oh my gosh, I did this before too. Welcome to Time to Process. Sometimes I, get a little jumbled in the morning. It's fine.
It's
fine.
early.
I'm just like so excited to have you here. Guys, sometimes when people come to my house, this is what I was just telling Rachel. I feel like I've talked about my house forever. And now you finally get to see it.
I know. And
it's
it
very
was fun.
exciting.
I like to look at everything.
I actually
'cause
had
I'm
one
nosy.
person, literally only one person, the other day, my friend Addie at the salon. She was like, I feel like I need a house tour. And I'm like, I mean, it's not that great, but like I love my house, right? But it's one of those things where I think I show like bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And people are like, I feel like I just like need to see into your world. So I'm like, I don't know.
I've
Maybe
seen
I'll
the built-ins because we discussed built-ins
the
a lot.
built-ins, yes,
so
I know.
I have
Upstairs
seen
is not that
the
exciting,
built-ins.
but downstairs I do love.
Downstairs is really pretty.
'Cause
Plus
you
I
have-
saw the dinosaurs.
Yeah. The chickens. I know. I still need to have. I was like saying, I'm like, oh, I'm going to talk like last week with my friend Haley about it. We talked so long, we didn't even get to talk about the
I got a
chickens.
dinosaur parade this morning.
Yes, you did. Literally,
They
as
all
soon as
came
she
out,
said, oh, there's the chicken
strutted
coop,
around.
they all walked out.
It was great.
Yes, strutting their
So
feathers.
I'll tell the kids.
I did not show you the eggs, though. I do need to show you the eggs.
Okay.
Because they're green. They're so freaking cute.
That is very fancy.
I know, very fancy. But okay, you guys, this is Rachel Andrist. I have known you for how long now? I mean, since the girls were like
2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're
so 10. So 8 years, maybe.
So like 8 years. So we actually met on a twin mom group, like on Facebook, and I've just done her hair now forever and your kids, and I just love you.
And I love you.
She's literally like one of the most fun people to talk to.
Maybe.
Like,
we'll see.
Our conversations are really fantastic. I was telling a friend last night, I was podcasting with you today, and I was like, I don't know, we just have like the best conversations. Like, I don't know, we just always get on these great topics.
Agreed.
And I do have to say, you have the best wording. The things that you say when you're like, I'm feeling this way, I'm like, how did you even come up with that? Like, my favorite of all time, you guys, is when she's feeling a little annoyed and she's like, I'm feeling very stabby today.
I mean, sometimes that's the best way to describe it. And then when I discovered emojis.
Yes. Do you have a knife one?
I sure do. And you know when it shows you the ones where like that you use the most often? It's up there with the grimacing emoji.
Oh, yes.
The laughing that we all old people think it's supposed to be like tears of joy, but we're all like laughing because I'm old. Yes. And then stabby. So
it's in the top 3.
It's fine.
It's in the top.
It's fine. I'm emotionally well adjusted. Okay.
But I've never resonated so much with something. It was when you said, I'm feeling so stabby. I'm like, wow, that feels so good to me right now. Like,
it's just a concise way of completely explaining.
100%.
Somebody better get me a Diet Coke quick.
Yes.
Because I'm feeling stabby.
Yeah. I love it so much. Anyway, so she's a dear, dear friend. Like I said, I do her hair, do the kids' hair, but we have also, like, because of our twins, we've hung out like when the kids were younger. We would try to go do stuff. I feel like life just kind of gets in the way, but you know how that happens.
Everybody's kids are so busy with their own lives now that it's very irritating.
About it. I know.
Can't make plans because they've already got plans.
Because you're taking them to. I don't even have plans. Yeah.
They have the plans, and then they're like, "Drive me there."
Yeah.
So
had this conversation last night with a friend as well. I had bunko last night, so that's why I have a lot of conversations.
Oh, bunko.
And I guess at one point, which my kids have totally said this, and I remember saying it to my own mother. So sorry, Mom, if you are listening. But where I'm like, you don't even do chores. So her kids totally said that to her this last week. And she was like, excuse me, talk about feeling stabby.
Right.
I'm like, so all the things that you like literally don't even see. Like you have, actually my kids do their own laundry now. They have since they're 12, but I'm like, you have dishes in the cupboards. Like, yeah, you have to unload them, but I have to stick them in the dishwasher. You get driven everywhere. How do you always have a uniform to wear? Like, how do you even have cleats on your feet?
Mother's work is invisible.
Yes.
All the work that we do that no one sees is invisible, 100%. But they notice if it's not done.
Yes. Yeah.
Then they notice.
Yes. So I remember saying it vividly to my own mother, thinking like, yeah, that was like, I'm doing all this work and you're not doing anything. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it actually is mind boggling sometimes where I'm like, oh, I have a whole day to like not really do much. And then I'm like, it's 5:00 and I'm like,
and where did the day go?
Hell, what have I done all day? Yeah. Like, because I've done 25,000 things already. Where it's like,
and you're so tired, but you didn't do anything.
Yes, I know.
I don't know how that works.
I know,
but it
100%.
happens.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why don't you introduce yourself? How would you describe yourself?
I'm Rachel. I would describe myself as a disgruntled housewife.
Which is such great timing with this whole like Secret Lives of Mormon Wives situation.
I actually know I'm fine. I am from Seattle originally. My husband grew up here in Pleasant Grove, so we're here. I used to be a teacher in the before twin times.
Yes.
I was an elementary school teacher for about 10 years. And when my twins came and I was going to have 3 children under the age of 2.5, I had to stay home. It was a thing.
That feels like a lot.
So that's I'm a personal assistant to 3 people. I
3 small, short
drive
people.
them places. The oldest one is newly annoyed by all of my opinions and existence in the world. And
because he's almost 13.
He's almost 13. So we're working on the attitude of that. So that's been
fantastic.
A thing. It's been a thing. Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amazing.
And I have some, what I've been told are preteen girls. They keep telling me that.
They are a little spicy, those girls. Yes, they are. Identical twins. They're the ones I actually posted about on my Instagram a couple of weeks ago, that we cut their hair different for the first time. And you were kind of struggling with that.
I'm super struggling with that.
And I don't mean to laugh because I really do.
It's not healthy.
I mean, I don't know because I have boy-girl twins, but
I know it's not healthy. But it's been hard for me.
Well, but you also have literally dressed them the same for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
And
they liked it up until recently.
Totally. Yeah.
And even now, the reason they're dressing differently is because they have like so many opinions about what's comfortable and what's not.
Yes.
So they dress whatever they want, homeless style for school.
Homeless style.
And
this goes along with my kids.
And then I'm like,
sometimes.
These are weekend clothes and I will pick them. So that's been interesting. But one of my girls is wanting to be more different than the other girls.
Okay. Wait, which one? Well, I guess we won't say. Okay.
Emmy's pulling away a little and it's been hard.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's been hard for everybody.
Is she like, oh, I want to wear this? Like, is she like super into trends?
No, she just wants to be individual. And I totally support that.
Oh, sure.
So even though I don't like it personally, of course, I let her cut her hair how she wants.
Yes.
And, there's been a lot of friend problems.
Yes.
Because she wants to have different friends, but her sister still
wants to hang
out. That's what we were fighting about on the way to school this morning. Because they're going on a field trip.
Heartbreaking.
And their class is getting divided up into other classes, but they're together. And Emmy's best friend is with her. And they're like telling my other child that she can't sit by them on the bus. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. So
did you say friends come and go? Your siblings literally are
forever?
I
keep saying that. But my kids are like, if there's a bus, throw each other under it. There's no loyalty. I don't know what is happening. So I was like, you absolutely cannot make your sister sit by herself on the bus.
Yes. Like,
because yesterday Emmy had a friend over.
Okay.
And I said, Julia has to leave you be while you have your friend over.
Yeah,
because Julia had a friend over last week by herself.
Yes.
And Julia was very sad because I don't think she's on board for all this.
Yeah.
But she was respectful about it. And I was like, so you're not going to be all, see ya on the field trip, leave you in the dust.
Yeah.
She's a pill.
Oh,
so we're working on it.
I do feel like that's where it has been probably a little different with boy-girl twins. But I feel like with Milo and Ruby right now, because the boys like Ruby, but the boys are Milo's friends, he's like, I don't want to be your friend anymore.
Yeah, and it's rough. And so
like, you like my sister, so we're not friends.
Because Emmy's friend initially, when they were picking who they were going to be friends by themselves
Why can't they be friends with both of them?
I don't know. They have friends that they became friends with together.
Okay.
And that is still fine. They work in a unit, the 3 people.
Sure.
But they have so like, Julia was like, oh, fine. I have these friends at school when we had this discussion. And Emmy was like, I have these friends. And Julia was like, that's fine because we don't get along. But now Julia has gotten over it with one of Emmy's friends. And now they're friends again.
Yes.
Because girls are exhausting. And so she also wants to play with this girl. And I'm like, but Emmy invited her over.
Yes.
We're having some by ourselves time.
Yeah.
but now they're on the bus together, then I'm like, you need to not abandon your sister and make her sit on the bus and have trauma.
That's what I mean. I don't like.
They're going to a cave.
Like, that's right. They told me about that.
And I'm like, could you guys not lose each other in the cave? That'd be great, because they're not great about. I'm like, where's your sister? I don't know. So I'm all, keep your eyeballs on each other. Let's not get lost in the cave.
Yes.
Thank you. Walk off alone.
Listen, even if you don't want her like sit right by you on the bus, have her sit in front of you or behind you.
I know.
Like you can still have her be in the vicinity.
I know. So Julia got out of the car and left, and we sat in the car, and I'm like, I don't really have time for this heart to heart this morning. Like I literally have someplace to go. Yeah. Can't you see that I'm dressed in not my carpool dress? So I have to go. So just quit being mean.
I know.
Please.
And I'm like, just freaking be nice. It's not that hard.
I know. And I'm like, and love you. Kiss, kiss. Get out of the car.
I know.
I have to go.
I feel like I'm always like, love you. Like through my clenched teeth.
I know.
Because you've exhausted all my mental resources for the morning.
I can't with this before I've even had a Diet Coke.
Yeah. Hey, wait, have you had one yet?
Yes.
Okay, good. Worry. I was like, because I have one in the fridge downstairs if you need one.
Don't worry. But I was like, stop talking to me. I don't want anyone to be like alive near me in the morning, because I'm not a morning person. And my darling husband's always like, good morning, I love you. And I'm like, ugh. And I'm the worst. And the kids want to have like several arguments and life problems before I even take them to school. And I'm not here for it.
Yeah. Because I feel like sometimes you're like, I just like need a minute. That's where actually I feel like that is why it's so important for me when I go to the gym in the morning. Because that gives me 1 hour to like kind of just like be alone, not alone with my thoughts, because I'm usually like reading a book or something, but like not deal with that. And so like when I come home and then everyone's getting ready for school, I'm like, okay, I can actually handle this day. Yes. I can handle what's happening right now. And luckily my kids are pretty good. They just get themselves together. It's usually like, I can't find this, or like, get out of the bathroom, like that type of stuff. But yeah, I definitely need to like kind of have a decompression for 1 hour before it's like all hands on deck.
It's the truth. And I have business hours, and I say to the kids, like, business hours are over. Like
perfect.
At 8:00.
Yes. Yeah. Like I am done.
Jack has wanted a later bedtime. So we negotiated a bedtime.
Okay.
And the reason that we have earlier bedtimes is because, my children wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, no matter what time they went to bed. Midnight, 6 a.m.
Wild.
10 o'clock, 6 a.m. So I'm like, go to bed, because I need you to get away.
Yeah.
But
also like you're going to be so crabby the next day if you don't get sleep.
Yeah. And so Jack goes to bed a lot later, but also like his dad and I want to watch TV.
Yes.
And have an evening.
Yeah. Be together.
And so I'm like, you can talk to me until 8 p.m. And then the business hours are over, except for emergencies.
Visiting hours are over. Yep.
So don't come in my room with life problems at 9 o'clock, because I'm finished momming. I will see you at 7. Emergencies only.
Yes. Yes. This is the thing. We do have to like preface this. You are though like literally the most like loving mom.
Oh yes, people
during business hours.
People may think, oh, she's not the best.
Yeah, no, but you are. That's the thing, is that like you are like above and beyond. Where there's things that you tell me, and I'm like, why did you do that for them?
Yeah,
because I feel like I am like, no, you do that on your own.
Yeah, you are
a fantastic
but I hit a wall,
mom.
But I hit a wall, and I learned in the years when I was home and Chris was working all the time.
Yeah.
That I had to have like a stopping point.
Oh, 100%.
Or I would just run myself into the ground.
Yes. Because then I feel like too, there's a lot of times where I'm like, okay, so I'm done for the night. And also those dishes can wait till the next day, because I'm like, I have been doing that crap all day long. And sometimes I just like need to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
And I was having my me time till like 2 a.m.
Oh, yes.
When everybody was finally asleep and nobody was talking to me.
And then they were up at 6.
And then I was exhausted and crabby.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, let's have all the conversations. Let's heart to heart. I will drive you to the places.
Yep. Yes.
I will pick your instrument up from school and drive it home so you don't have to carry it, but I'm finished at 8 o'clock.
And I'd be like, no, you can walk home with that instrument on your back.
I know. I'm a lot less tough than I thought I'd be. Because as a teacher, I was a lot like, I do say to my kids a lot though, and what would you like me to do about that? Which I used to say to my students as well.
Yes.
Because I'm like, what is it that you want me to do?
Yeah, because I think 100%. There's a lot of times that I'm like, so you're telling me a problem. Do you want me to fix it or do you want me to just listen? Which I do feel like is very good, like just in general relationship advice. And yeah, sometimes they're like, well, I don't know. I'm like, okay, so I don't know how to help you then.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're teaching them life skills.
I hope so.
We
Sometimes I feel like we're just
surviving,
trying to get through it. I mean, every day I'm like, that's going to therapy with them when they're older. Sorry.
Yeah, but listen, at least we know how beneficial therapy is now these days.
I love therapy.
I'm a big
everybody should have a therapist just all the time for checking in purposes.
Yeah. No, I say all the time to Erin, like I 100% feel like you know how kids have well checks every year?
Yes.
Every person should need to have a well check.
Yes.
And like see a therapist once a year, just check in,
Yeah.
make sure everything's good to go. If there's any issues, like
I need someone to say, you're being unreasonable, Rachel. Yeah,
totally. Because sometimes we get on our own minds.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I also find it helpful because I have anxiety, of course, and OCD. And one of my children already does. And when I'm in therapy with that child listening, I'm like, oh, that's so interesting.
I do that.
About my own brain. And I'll be like, look what I learned today.
But from your kids'
so I
therapy.
can use the same technique on my own self. Great. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
Because sometimes I'm like, listen, I am 40 years old. I've lived with myself for 40 years. I understand that I'm being unreasonable in certain aspects, but like I'm trying to help you be not unreasonable.
Yeah.
At this young age.
Yeah.
But like I'm already 40. I'm not sure if we can teach like, old dogs new tricks.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm cooked.
Yeah.
Almost. So it's hard at this point. At this point, it's just like, I need you to increase my medication dosage because I'm feeling pretty edgy.
Yeah.
Like really my mom will say to me, you seem a little edgy. Do you need to have your medication upped a little bit? And I'm like, yes, you're probably right. And then I start to feel a little more even. So.
Oh, I wonder if when the kids get older, that will increase or if it will decrease. If you'll end up getting like, okay, so like, yeah, I'm not like feeling as edgy anymore.
Maybe.
Because I actually said this to Erin the other day too. I'm like, I feel like I definitely don't like lose my crap as much as I used to when the kids were growing up. Which is so interesting because you would think it would be the opposite, but maybe now I'm just exhausted and I'm like, you know what?
The bar is so low.
There's just some battles that are just not worth it.
Aren't worth fighting.
Yeah, like I'm
That's why I just say to the girls, go in your room and fight it out.
Yeah.
As long as you keep it in house.
Yeah.
And the screaming that comes out of there, and you can hear my girls are pinchy still.
Oh my!
And
you
hitty,
said that, and
I don't know what the deal is because it's not like I let them behave that way, but they do.
Yeah,
and I
you
can
don't
hear
hit them. You're not abusive to them.
I can hear the silence that happens when one of them decides to hit the other one. I can hear it
as they're rearing back.
Yeah, and then there's a silence between that and when the other child gets the reaction, and then I know already what has happened in there with the door closed. And I'm like, I don't even care. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You guys are.
But I feel like I fought a ton with my siblings.
I never did. So this is brand new information.
That's
fascinating. I'm given to understand that it did happen with my husband and his siblings.
Okay. Yeah.
So
but maybe, I don't know. But I don't feel like we were like hitting, we fought, like we yelled to the death.
We didn't do that either.
That is
I could probably
Is there just that many years between you guys?
No, my one sister is only 2 years younger than me. I mean, I can remember a couple of times we screamed at each other, but like nobody yelled in my house. Oh. My parents didn't yell.
Okay.
And my mom will be like, if she's visiting, and when they were littler, she'd be like, don't yell at them. And I would laugh because I'm like, if you think this is yelling,
you haven't seen anything.
This is my best behavior that's possible while you're here.
Well, we have guests.
Yeah. So I didn't think I'd be a yeller because I didn't grow up in yelling, but my kids are so loud. and
Oh, yeah.
fighty.
Sometimes you have to just like lose it for them to listen. 100%.
Because I've asked you 150 times with my nice voice,
Yeah.
like my Stepford voice.
Yeah.
But they don't listen to that one.
My Stepford voice.
And then I'll be like, how many times have I asked you to do your shoes?
Yeah.
And they
100%.
just like, are psychos. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like, I would have to just to get a reaction. Like, okay, so is everyone looking at me now? Are we ready to listen? Like, I had to literally lose my mind, beans coming out of my neck.
I know.
Because, yeah.
Explain to me how I kept an entire class of 32 12-year-olds at a time terrified.
Yeah.
If I raised my voice. But these ones are like,
because they see you at your weakest.
Well, and I think they're kind of like, what are you going to do, hit us? And I'm like, no, I guess I'm not. So I guess we've reached an impasse because I'm not going to hit you and you know it. So, and Jack weighs as much as an adult. I was just going to say. So I'm not dragging you up any stairs at this point.
Wait until Jack is 6'2". And
cool.
Yeah, like it is wild. That's where I think a lot of times too, especially like with Dylan right now, that I'm like, I really don't even have to get after. It's usually like, bro, get up. Like he didn't get out of bed to get onto the bus or whatever, catch a ride, like that kind of stuff. Like get freaking out of bed. Or like you didn't unload the dishes when I've asked you 75 times. Mm-hmm. But like for the most part, like if I'm getting upset about something, he's like, Mom, like he's like, take it down a notch. Why are you getting upset about this? I know. And I'm like, okay, so I understand what you're trying to do. I don't know, it's just like.
But they say it like they've had more life experience.
Totally.
Than
You're
us.
like, why are you making a big deal out of this?
And I keep going.
I will go do it. I'm like, but I've already asked you 75 times. Yeah.
And I keep saying to Jack, FYI, if a woman asks you if you're going to do something, it means freaking do it right now.
Yeah.
And your father hasn't really caught on to that. But I'm giving you a tip for life.
Yes, a tip for life.
And I always say to him, you're welcome, future partner of Jack, because I'm not trying to raise someone who's ignoring people.
Yes.
I'm like, do you have eyeballs? You can see it, right?
Yeah, for sure. I know. I do feel, I think we've talked about this too. Aaron's actually really good at that kind of stuff. I feel like he's probably the one that says to me, like, are you going to do that? And I'm like, I'm getting there. I got to process. There is method to my madness. But no, when I'm like, can you do that? He's usually like, let's do it right now. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't like saying right now.
I love right now.
You know what I'm saying? But because I'm like, I'm not like mentally right there, but.
Nobody at my house is right now except me. Yes. Just me all by myself.
And obviously it depends on what it is for sure. But I do feel like Aaron's pretty good at that.
Everybody else at my house is chill about everything. Except being fed.
Oh, yes.
That's an emergency.
Yeah.
So.
I know. They act like sometimes that they haven't eaten in days. And I'm like, you literally just had 75 snacks after school. Why? And also, why do you need 75 snacks after school?
A lot of snacks. Well, and you know that I don't cook.
Yes.
At all.
So it's just
when the kids are like, what's for dinner? I'm like, why are you asking me that? I don't know. Well, they're like, Dad's upstairs working. And I'm like, then I guess we're all having cereal.
Yeah.
And then he'll come down and be like, why are you letting them eat cereal again? That's for breakfast only. And I'm like, you were not here.
Yeah. You're like,
did you think that I was going to make dinner? No. And I know that doesn't make sense since I am a housewife.
Yes.
Since I stay home. But nobody wants me to cook.
That's how I feel. I hate cooking. I don't feel like I'm good
hate
at
it either. And Chris does not want me to go to the grocery store. He's always like, just put it on the list and I will buy it because I'm told that I spend unnecessary amounts of money.
Okay.
I always come back with 3 new lip balms that are like organic lip balms.
Perfect.
And so he's like, don't go to the store because you're going to spend $75 extra on stuff that wasn't on the list. And I'm like, but I needed that new hair treatment or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's like, I'll buy it. Just put it on the list. So he does not want me to go to the store. Like he had surgery. He had his appendix out and he was so afraid that I would go to the store.
Oh my gosh.
The day that he got like the tube removed from his stomach. That he went to Costco and I made him let me go with him because I thought he was going to pass out, but he did not want me to go to the Costco by myself.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I do have to say though, Costco does suck you in. This is honestly why I don't have a Costco card anymore. because I feel like every time I went, I spent $700.
I hate Costco.
And I'm like, I would rather go every single week. And okay, let's be honest. I don't go. I grocery shop in my bed.
Obviously.
Or sitting in a comfy chair. And I have them delivered to my house. Yeah. Right? Yes. Again, Walmart Plus was one of my favorite things. But I definitely keep on budget if I'm doing that. Because if not, if you go to the grocery store, you're like, oh, I could use some of that. I could use some of that.
Costco, once you walk past the jewelry case, I am no longer interested.
Yeah.
And I am like a toddler at the grocery store. Yeah. And I complain. I don't like that refrigerated area.
It's too cold. Or it's like, you don't want to walk in.
I don't want to eat samples from people. I just like, I hate everything that's happening there. And then he's always like, do you want to have a hot dog? Because he thinks it's funny. Oh my gosh. He thinks it's hilarious. Like, I am going to do that. And I'm like, I hate everything that's happening here. No, I don't.
Listen, I love a hot dog at the ballpark.
Yeah. Like at the venue.
Situational.
I don't want to park next to my groceries.
No. And eat a hot dog. I agree.
I know some people are into it. It's their jam. Great. Yeah. It's not my jam because I hate grocery stores. They make me angry. Like if I have to go to Walmart, I feel so angry.
Yes, I agree with you. But I also feel like it's because I can type in what I need. Yeah. When I go to the grocery store, I don't know where it is. So I am going up and down each aisle. And then I'm like, finally find somebody to ask when they're like, oh, you're 75 aisles up.
If they even know where it is. They're like, I don't know.
Yes. I'm like, no. Okay. When I do my groceries online, I can just type in bananas and it will come up with bananas. Nice. Like,
where was this all when we had toddler twins?
Oh my gosh. Right. When I was having a double stroller and then my 4-year-old was pushing the cart.
I taught Jack because I would go to the store and I could only buy what I could fit underneath in the basket of that tandem stroller. Yep. And I taught him how to hold on to the strap of my purse in the store.
So that he wouldn't
he wouldn't run away. Because I have to, like one time in a parking lot, he ran and I had the girls in a stroller and I had to pick which child was going to live because I had to run after him.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's when you're like, I can at least lock up the stroller.
Well, and I remember one time having to take everything out because he was having a tantrum.
Yeah.
Helpful. And he was probably like 3. And I had to put him under my arm.
One of these.
Like this. Yes. And carry him out and push the double stroller with the other hand.
Oh my god!
But nobody was like, this lady's kidnapping this kid because nobody wants this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And whenever you pick Jack up to take him out, he's decided he's going to do all the things because he knows he's in trouble. So he was like kicking me and hitting me. And I was like, this is super fun.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I don't like grocery stores.
Yeah, that too. 100%.
Yeah.
And why did we not come up with this earlier?
I don't know because
why did it take a pandemic?
I used to hold the girls in their car seats on either arm. Because remember, I have like a permanent lump in my arm that the doctor thought might be a cancer lump. Nope. But it turns out it was from carrying 20-pound babies on either arm in a car seat.
And how long did we do that too?
I did it until they were too big.
Yeah, until they literally. I think I did that until
my back could not. Get up.
I guess probably when they got old enough where you could like just leave the car seat in the car and pull them out.
Yes.
They're big enough to, like, sit in
once
the car
they didn't need the infant car seat anymore.
But still, like I would say you're like a year.
It was a long time.
That's like a full 12 months of us carrying around those doubles.
Yes, and I used to carry that to church because I felt like I didn't want to take the stroller in. I know a lot of twin moms do.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to. And so I would just be hauling them around church like that too.
Yeah. Seeing people are like, how did you do church? Or how did you do church?
You do all of it.
And I was like, we weren't active then.
Like a circus is how you do it. What I would do was
I'm like, just go inactive.
I would not feed them so that I could go in the mother's room and just feed them for a large portion of church. Totally. Because it was better than dragging them around.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I could meet other mothers, and I was so desperate to meet moms because I didn't have any mom friends.
Yes.
Because I had just stopped working.
Yeah.
And all of my friends were teachers.
All the girls in the neighborhood or anything.
I hadn't met anyone in the neighborhood. I didn't have any twin friends. It was before I had met before I got turned on to the twin groups.
Yep. Yeah.
And I was just like desperate to talk to other mothers my age. Well, none of them are my age. Yeah. I'm older than all of them.
I think we're the same age all the time. You're only barely a few years older than me.
than you, but like most of my friends are my youngest sister's age, and she's 7 years younger than me.
Really?
Yes.
So they're like mid-30s?
Yes.
I have
and
a few friends
so
like that in
we'll
the
talk
neighborhood,
about
for
stuff
sure.
and they'll be like, who's Chandler Bing? And I'm like, get out of my house.
Yeah, get
Or
real.
I'll
You
talk
need
about
to-
like 9/11 and they'll be like, I was in elementary school. And I'm like,
Yep.
goodbye. I don't want to talk to you anymore. But most of my friends are like that. So I had to get over it.
Yeah.
But I sometimes forget. And then they remind me in a cruel way about how old I am.
Don't feel offended by that.
It's not
Because
great.
we are wiser.
I don't want to be
Just
wise.
remember that.
I want my neck to quit heading towards the floor. That's what I want. I don't want to be wise.
I just want to like not feel like I'm having a stroke every day. Like I feel like I'm like I can't come up with words. I get flustered. I'm like saying things that I'm like that literally doesn't make any sense. I think I might be losing.
Does my vocabulary less than it used to be? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I used to pride myself on the fact that the other teachers would not know what I was saying.
Yes,
sometimes when I used a word
Googling
and now I'm like, you know, I can't think of a word at all.
Yes,
I have to Google it.
Uh-huh.
It's so embarrassing.
So embarrassing.
My mom doesn't like to Google it. She wants to remember it on her own.
Yes.
She won't let us tell her. So sometimes I just get a text with one word later.
Oh, this is what it
was. When the word
this is
comes
what I was
back.
trying to say.
Yeah.
And I often think like it'll come to me. Just give it a second. Sometimes it does. Most of the time it doesn't. And like I said, I feel like often I'm like, I am so sorry. I feel like I'm having a stroke. Just like at the beginning of this, where I was like, time to podcast. I mean, it is a time to podcast, but that's literally not what the podcast is
There's
called.
like filing cabinets in our brain, and there's just like a little guy running around pulling out drawers trying to find it. So I'll just be like, the guy can't find it, Mom. I'll text it to you when I remember.
Or also, I think he ran into one of the filing drawers. He's going to be out for a few minutes.
Yes. I'll get back to you when I can complete a sentence. It's fine.
Yes, it's fine.
I thought it would be better, but I think it's just like perimenopause. Because it turns out like all the symptoms of that are the same as a stroke, it feels like.
No, it is.
Yeah.
I was just reading this cutesy like romance book the other day, and she's perimenopausal. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I think I'm having these. Like this is besides the night sweats in the book where she's like, I have to change my sheets every night. Makes sense. But yeah, the rest of it, I'm like,
one of my friends goes, do you know this is why I think a lot of women get divorced in their 40s?
Because
they're in perimenopause and they have had it.
Because they're literally dealing with so many things that you're like, I can't even imagine.
Like, I've got news for my girls who are 10. You're going to feel crazy all the time from now on.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be like, you know, puberty and then you're going to be,
like the whole
you
thing.
might feel great like in your early 20s.
Yeah.
Until you start having kids. After that, you're never going to feel normal again, right?
I don't know. I feel like, well, I didn't really have bad like PMS or anything. That wasn't like a big
I didn't
thing
either, but it was only because I had PCOS and I didn't have normal periods.
Yes. I don't know, but I also had a hysterectomy like 7 years ago. And I feel like even then the hormones didn't really do much to me.
But do you have your ovaries?
I have one.
Okay, that's why.
Because like one of them they like touched and it literally crumbled.
Oh, cool.
I know. I
forgot about that.
God, I didn't need that one. It's fine.
But the other
one is working fine.
I wanted my hormones still, and I was crying when I was getting taken back for my hysterectomy because I was afraid they were going to take my ovaries, remember? And the cute nurse goes, listen, I'm going to be in there. And I'm going to watch your ovaries like this. And I'm not going to let them take them. And we'll wake you up if we need to take your ovaries. And I was like, thank you. And then she goes, and now I'm going to give you some medicine. In about 10 seconds, you're going to think this is the best idea you've ever had. Yeah. And I don't remember anything after that.
I have actually had many surgeries. And I am totally okay with that part. Like, I'm like, great, put me out.
That freaks me out.
100%.
You know that freaks me out. Because I would already have had my eyes done.
Yes.
I really want to have my eyes done. But I'm terrified of being put under.
Eyes like
under
LASIK,
here.
Like you're no,
you want to do
like a mini.
The ladies under here have a lot of circles, and I want to still be able to enjoy it, and I want to get that where they inject into the fat pockets under your eyes.
Yes,
so because the pandemic hurt my feelings a lot because we were wearing masks and then it was just like a sign, like an arrow pointing to these pockets under my eyes.
But don't you feel like, I feel like mine are like from how I laugh and like smile. It's like endearing.
This is like a genetic part of my family lore.
Okay, I do feel like my lids are like that. That's why. What's one
I
of the
have
many
the
reasons why
hooded
I
lid.
need lashes, because my lids are very droopy.
I have a friend from high school when we were in high school, and she had to have her eyes. It was like covered by her insurance because they were like hanging over her eyes.
Yeah.
I don't know why I couldn't get a little of that.
I know. I honestly I think I could have that one day.
But see, here's the difference. When I'm older. You have eyebrows, so it helps with the eyelid. Yes. But I don't have any eyebrows. If you were close to me, like Courtney is, you could see that they're drawn on. Yes, me too. There's one hair. Videos. There's just one hair here that I
can see more than that. You do have more than one
I comb one hair. It's like half of it, and I comb it into my eyebrow.
When we talked about this, we're like, get a little lick and stick it up there. Okay, listen, let's talk about, we're getting very
before we go on. Yes. I made you a prize.
Oh my gosh,
I made you a little present. I made you a little present.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Oh, with the name
my
of your
gosh,
podcast. So I made us some bestie bracelets.
Oh, yeah, you're the best. For those of you who are not watching this podcast, she made me a T-Swift bracelet.
A T-Swifty.
That says time to process.
I've been making...
Oh my God, it's on right
election
now.
bracelets.
So
I've been making Disney bracelets.
I know, you guys have been busy. I've been watching your Instagram.
We've been busy making election bracelets. I've been handing them out to peeps.
Okay, what does it say on there? But it's something about just vote, right?
So they say all kinds of things. I've got just vote ones. I've got like Kamala themed ones.
Okay.
My dad is not a fan. Yeah. And I was like, Dad, do you want a bracelet? And he was like, no, thank you. And I'm like, Dad, I'm not gonna.
I won't sway
I won't write like my daughter likes Kamala on it or anything. Okay. And so I just made him like a red, white, and blue vote one.
Oh, very cute.
He wears it. He's really cute.
Oh,
he wears it.
That. Your dad is cute.
My dad is really cute. So I make them for my mom. My mom's friends wanted them. I've been mailing them to Washington. It's been fun.
It's been okay, fun. I think that is very, very, very fun.
And we did the postcards where we just wrote like register to vote for the women's.
Okay.
Because women get so busy.
Yeah. Oh,
and
100%.
they feel like they don't have time or it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so
I like know, because I can't come from a family, like my dad was in city council and stuff like that. Like I feel like I very much came from a family like that. And you know, he's like, you can't complain unless you're willing to do something about it type thing. But it does get overwhelming.
It does get overwhelming.
There's like so much out there. You're like, who do I believe? I don't know. We could literally go down a rabbit hole of politics. I definitely don't want to do that.
No.
But it does feel overwhelming. So I love that you're doing that and sending out the postcards.
Well, and it has like a QR code on it.
Yeah.
So it's just like quick.
Yeah.
Use the QR code, register. Yeah. Especially because most states have mail-in ballots.
Yeah. You are really good at that kind of stuff. Like you are good at, what's even the word I'm looking for? Clearly I'm having a stroke. What we just talked about. You're good at like getting involved.
Well, I feel like
I feel like you actually would be a very good like city council person or somebody working in a city or like a mayor type situation.
I don't have thick enough skin.
Really?
Because like people have said that to me before.
Okay.
Because I thought about like maybe I should be on a school board because I, was an educator.
You're so passionate about that.
I am such a baby. Like if anybody's mean to me, you're like, online, like a stranger says something to me and I'm shook.
Really?
Yes. And I just am not tough enough. And when I get passionate about something, I'll cry a little bit and I don't want to cry.
Yes.
And so I'm like, well, how can I be involved and not get my fifis hurt? But I just want to like empower other women
for sure
to feel like they can be involved.
Yeah.
Especially because I feel like women that don't work outside the home sometimes, I struggle so much with feeling like I matter.
Okay. Yeah.
And like I'm making a difference.
Sure.
And I want to do something where I feel like I'm empowering other women to feel that way too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I can do it in a small way.
You feel like you need too, which is like, it's cool because you are staying at home, you understand that. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like I'm at work and so I'm trying to you're like, no,
because I really struggle.
I understand how you're feeling. And so I want you to also feel empowered.
Yeah, because I struggled with my identity so much when I left the workforce.
Sure.
And I felt like I still say, when people ask me what I do, I still have to feel like I have to shoot in there that I was a teacher.
Yes.
Because I feel like I need to explain.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think people that have the opportunity to stay at home or that love to do that.
Yeah.
That's so important.
Oh,
and I still feel like it's the most important thing I've done.
Yeah.
But I also struggle with feeling invisible.
Yeah.
Because our work is invisible, like we were saying
Yep.
earlier.
Totally.
And so I just want other women to feel like you have a voice and your opinion matters.
Yeah. Yes.
Wherever that is that you choose to put your voice.
Yeah, for sure.
You should put your voice there.
Well, I remember there was something, I can't remember if it was like in an article I read or just like heard along the years, but somebody said, we have to stop saying I'm just a stay-at-home mom. And it's like, that's actually a very, very large job. We are teaching our children life skills.
Than when I was working.
And like, there's a lot of things. And I actually, it's funny because Dylan asked me this like not too long ago. And maybe I even mentioned it in one of the other podcasts, but he's like, did you always want to like work? And I was like, yeah. Like I've just always wanted to. That's just been who I am. I have enjoyed being home and working. I feel very lucky that I get to do both. And that I can like have a schedule that I can choose and like what works best for my children.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. Like when people say that, and it's like, you're not just a stay-at-home mom. That is a very, very valid job that is like not taken lightly.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. So
when I was teaching, I used to assign a persuasive essay to my students every year. And they were sixth graders. So they're 12, 11-year-olds.
Okay.
And they would have to persuade me about whether it was harder to be a sixth grader or harder to be an adult. And I immediately started seeing them say stuff every year, all the kids that, you know, it'd be easier to be a parent because all my mom does is laundry or all she does is stay home. And I would personally meet with each of those children and lecture them about what their mom does.
Totally.
But I was so determined to make sure that my children don't think that.
Yeah.
But I'm trying not to be like, listen to all the things I do. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's really hard to walk the line between making sure that my children understand that I am contributing.
Yes.
Without being like,
you just stay
I'm
home and
harping.
eat bonbons all day.
Yeah. Because I had other women sort of imply that to me when I quit working. And so when I got pregnant with the girls, people would be like, oh, you're going to quit then, right? And I'm like, no. I was determined because it was so offensive to me that they were like, you can't possibly keep working if you have twins. But to be fair, at my school at the time, I was the only person that I knew that was working there that had come back from maternity leave.
Really?
So after I had Jack and I came back, there was no one really there to give me any advice because they all usually leave and then they would come back when their kids were grown.
Totally.
And it was like a whole new thing that I was forging on my own. And it was really difficult because even though Utah has mostly female teachers, they are not set up to support a working mom at all.
Yeah.
And in fact, I would say they try really hard to discourage it, to be honest. Yeah, because the schools, like they're very cagey about their maternity leave policies. I had to do all the research myself. They don't want to tell you anything.
Interesting.
There's no place to pump. I had
I
had to lock my classroom.
Lounge?
Yeah, nope, you can't. There's no place to pump. And I would lock my door and I told the custodian that I was pumping. And if the door was locked and I had a barrier in the window and he would still come in there. Yeah. And I had to like arrange with my other teachers to keep my students for 15 minutes after recess in the afternoon because you can't pump in 15 minutes.
No. And so I had to like totally derobe every time I did
it. Was really hard.
Yeah. It's a whole thing. I really admire the women that were able to like breastfeed and can just breastfeed anywhere. Like that just was not, it didn't work for me. I didn't
really like nursing anyway. And so pumping, and I didn't pump a lot, and Jack was a huge baby.
Yes.
And so I would be like pumping half my work day and I would only have like 10 ounces to bring home.
Yes.
And so when I had the girls, I'm like, I am never pumping.
Yeah.
I am not pumping. If I have to pump with them, I am not going to nurse anymore. Yeah. But when I got to the end of my pregnancy, I could not admit that I was not going to come back to work.
Yes.
And people were like, she's not going to come back. But when I had them and I was getting towards the end of my maternity leave, it became clear to me that I needed to leave.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's where, again, I was still working the whole time I had the twins, but I was at home. I worked from home. Like
Yeah.
I did hair out of my home. I worked for a technology company from my home. So I could work it around my schedule.
Yeah.
But to have to go into a classroom and teach, that would have been so hard because I feel like there's just so many logistics.
It's really not
throughout the day.
Even when Jack was sick, when he was a baby, I had to take him with me at 6:30 in the morning to a different city for my classroom, put a pack and play in there, and do all my sub plans and stuff just so I could. So like the greatest gift to me was the luxury was to stay home with my children when they were sick.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I couldn't do that with Jack when he was a baby, and that was rough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was grateful. But like people always say, oh, teaching is such a great job for mothers. Like it's easy for mothers. It's not. It's not. It's a disaster.
Well, and it's so anyone that's listened to the podcast since the beginning, or if you haven't, go back and listen to the one. But my friend Kate, who is in my neighborhood, and she is a teacher by trade. And the reason why she chose to do, I can't even remember what it's called, but because she teaches high school. That is secondary education when you're younger. Okay.
Secondary is the older kids.
Oh, okay. So she teaches, so she must have done secondary education. And I said, what made you choose that? And she said, because I needed to have the patience for my own children when I got home from school and not have lost my patience dealing with other people's kids throughout the day.
When they're little.
Type thing. When they're younger.
Because the elementary school kids, the younger, I wouldn't touch below 4th grade for any amount of money. Yeah. The people that do that. And there's some people that love kindergarten and first grade. Yeah.
And
there's people that would not come near a 6th grade class, but like they need too much.
Yes.
In the lower grades for my liking. Yeah. But it's true. It's overstimulating to be an elementary school teacher. It's overstimulating to be a teacher, period.
I can't even imagine.
But it's a different need in the older grades. So I could totally understand if you have little kids, not, because it's like at church, they're all, you're a teacher. You should definitely do primary.
Yeah. You're like, no.
As a calling. And you're
also,
I want to see an adult.
I teach all week. Yeah. Like I don't want to teach.
I want to be with grownups, please.
Yes.
For a minute.
Yeah. 100%.
Yes.
100%. I could not be a teacher. I think teachers are the most amazing, and y'all should make millions of dollars because you are teaching our children. And what they always say is like the children are the future, right? Like that's, so why are we?
The expectations that teachers have, which is why I'm not going back.
Yeah.
Sadly. Because I feel like, I did a good job. I was good at my job.
Yeah.
And I really loved being with my students. But by the time I left the profession, the legislature has given you so much to do that I literally found myself thinking, this is teaching is getting in the way of all this stuff I have to get done.
Yes.
Because they were making us do all these meetings during the day.
Yeah.
We had to go through all these testing and the data and the getting ready that I wasn't able to spend the kind of time with my students that I could spend with them when I started.
Yes.
And it made me sad.
Yeah. Oh, and they're like, then all of a sudden they're like, well, the test scores aren't showing anything. Yeah. It's like, right, because you're literally putting these like boundaries on me that I have to do X, Y, and Z in a day. I only have so many hours. So how can I like teach them the way that they need to be taught?
You literally can't.
No, like
everything got stripped down.
Teachers.
Like I used to teach art. I used to teach whatever. And by the time I left, we were doing math for 2 hours a day. And it's too much. Gosh, yeah. It's too much for them. Which and the legislature will be like, they used to say to teachers, you cannot teach to the test. Like you were not allowed to see what the test would be like and then focus only on that. But then they give you the test scores and they shame you if your students don't make the scores. So it makes no sense. I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm supposed to do this. It's nuts. They sit in a room and they show you your test scores for elementary school and they shame you. Yeah. If your students fail, you're the failure, not the way the test was written, not the fact that you weren't given time to do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, one year my kids all failed because they were just learning how to use computerized tests. Oh, yes. And my students couldn't figure out how to manipulate the actual program. I was watching my students correctly work out a math problem on paper, but they all got the problem wrong because they couldn't, like it was a volume question and they couldn't make the computer work to answer it.
Oh my gosh.
And I was
like, you can't help them.
You can't help them.
You can't help them at all.
And it's a disaster.
Ugh. That would be infuriating.
It's infuriating.
Because then you like want to stand up for those kids. Like, no, they are smart. They know what to do.
Because there are people that are not teachers deciding what we're supposed to teach.
Yeah.
And it is terrible. And Utah does not perform well as, and we brag as a state about how little resources our teachers get.
Oh.
And I think because we have a culture of women just taking on more and more, without complaining, they're able to get away with that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever thought about that before.
Yes. I think because we have a culture of women taking on stuff, and when you have a culture that has a lot of LDS people that have a lot of obligations through church outside of that are volunteer hours, we have a lot of women who take on extra things.
Yes.
Taking our work home, buying stuff out of our pockets, and making the classroom successful even without the resources.
But I'm sure that you feel like, or I would feel like as a teacher, I know that I'm not going to get any more resources. So I do feel like I have to just buy it on my own.
That's what we did.
Yeah. Because you literally have no option.
We spent all of our money, which is why I'm always sending stuff to my kids' classes. Because I know that if their teachers want to do something fun for them, it's coming out of their pocket.
Out of their pocket. Yep.
They're paying for it. Yeah. Because, you have to pay out of the budget from your team. You have to pay the district for paper to use in a classroom.
What?
Yeah.
That's bananas.
Yeah. Or if you need to get a printer fixed that belongs to the school district, it comes out of the school budget to fix it, to pay for someone to fix it.
See, and that's where sometimes I'm ignorance is bliss, because I'm I don't want to know about all that stuff, but then it also is infuriating to hear about it.
Well, and we weren't allowed to ask for money. You're not allowed to ask for school supplies in Utah State.
Teachers can't.
The teachers can't have a class list of required supplies.
What?
You can suggest things, but when I was teaching, we would make our disclosure statements, and then it had to get approved to make sure we weren't saying you have to send supplies. Yeah. So, I had children whose parents were millionaires. Yeah. Who were not sending their kids to school with a single school supply. So that was coming out
everything was just going to be.
That's coming out of my classroom budget.
See, so anytime I feel now, you'll get a list saying this is what they need, folders and stuff. But in the past, when my kids were at a charter school, because I know that I don't really actually know how charter schools work, but I would buy every single thing on that list and then some. Mm-hmm. I would buy sometimes even just 2 of everything that was on the list, or I guess 3, depending on for what kid it was, because I was I know that there are students who can't afford all of this stuff. So if I can at least help in some of these ways, maybe not every single thing, but I'll buy extra glue sticks or extra erasers or extra pencils.
If you want everybody in your class to have something like a composition notebook, you have to buy it.
That is
so
crazy.
If you're listening to this, email your child's teacher and ask them what they need, because we're into the middle of the first term.
Yes.
And they're starting to run out of things. Yeah. And they need it because they're buying it. They're paying for it out of pocket. Yeah. I think it's not as big of a problem in secondary education, but in elementary particularly, the stuff that the kids need breaks down pretty fast.
Yes, especially when you have that many kids in a class. Yeah. Yeah. That's actually a great idea. If you're listening to this, you should email your kids' teachers and ask them. And I feel too, that's where I was always trying to with teacher gifts, I would do at Christmas and then the end of the year. Mm-hmm. And I know actually some people would do one for parent-teacher conference, or basically kind of every time they met. I don't know what's kosher, or what's, I'm sure they're just always appreciative of anything that they get.
They are.
But I was always trying to do an Amazon gift card, or you know what I'm saying? Something that could be beneficial to them.
I also like to give them, I would give them a supply. Mm-hmm. And I also like to give them a gift card to some place where they can't buy school supplies. Yeah, so they know it's for themselves. Idea.
Yes. Yeah. I would try to do actually, I did a lot of hair products.
Teachers feel like they have to, Teachers feel like they have to, Yeah. I have a little list I give each of my kids' teachers with their favorites on it. And sometimes I just try and pick it up. like a small thing and
Oh,
send it in. But I do like to bring
yes.
something
Okay.
with me every time.
Like you have the teacher fill out like a favorite thing.
So like,
That's
what's
so
their favorite
smart.
restaurant? It's just like a little, you can find them on Pinterest.
Yeah.
Favorite restaurant, favorite food, allergies,
Like a
what they're
snack,
whatever.
something.
And then I just send them in periodically because I'm
I
telling
love
you,
that.
my favorite students would just show up sometimes with a swig or a Diet Coke. And I'm like, I remember that
love
still.
You so much. Yes.
And it's been 10 years since I was working.
No, I love that idea. Actually, I need
so
to be
just
better.
To be like,
I do feel like it's different when my kids are older, though. Like you said,
yes,
secondary. Because I'm like,
it's
now
different.
the twins each have 7
but I felt
teachers.
Like
Dylan
I
has
only
8.
dealt with parents if they were pissed at me.
Yeah, sure.
And so I want to build up like an appreciation for the teacher so that if I do need to deal with a problem with them, they know that I appreciate their job already.
Yes.
And it's not like I'm just here to complain.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Especially with Jack. He was a handful when he was younger. He's a super good student now and he's really conscientious, but I would just be like, here's a gift card. Because I know that at some point we're going to have a conversation and I want you to be already not like she's a pain before this starts.
Yeah.
Because I'm not dumb. I wasn't born yesterday. Yeah. You know?
And I want you to feel appreciated. As chatty as I am.
So sometimes, like, if my kids will say, I love this thing my teacher did. Yes. I email them and tell them.
Yeah. Oh,
because
that is a good idea.
I would get parents that would email me like some kind of hate mail at 11 o'clock at night and just furious. Yeah. And it ruined my night.
Well, yeah, and you're like, this really makes me not want to go back tomorrow.
Because lots of parents will mad email teachers late at night. And I'm like, could you wait for business hours for this? Like one time,
this is why we're setting
when
boundaries.
I was pregnant with the girls and I was so sick.
Yeah.
And I was actually in the emergency room because I needed fluids. Oh, and they had me hooked up to a blood pressure monitor.
Okay.
And I was reading an email that I had gotten from a parent while I was in the hospital to another teacher over the phone. And my blood pressure machine went off. And they came running in the room.
Like,
and I was like, let this be a lesson to me about how this is affecting my body. And I shouldn't be reading this. But also, you shouldn't be sending this. Like I was in the hospital reading emails and sending emails to people. Yeah. Well, so teachers are teaching all the time.
Yes. And that's where it's so hard because I'm it's 11 p.m. I'm sitting down because now the kids are in bed and now I'm sending out my emails. Yes.
But it is hard to remember.
I would hope that they don't look at them at night.
I would too.
Not that I don't think I've ever sent like a mean email to a teacher.
Oh man, that was
I feel
so
like
common.
same though. I feel like my kids I've definitely got the calls where like, hey, I'm in the principal's office. I'm like, okay. They're like, so I got in a food fight. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. Like, just like that type of thing where I'm like, yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Like my kid realizes what he's done. Like, yeah. So I really appreciate teachers a lot, because it's hard enough again to deal with your own kids and like the things that they do, but to have 32 12-year-olds talking back to you and being so spicy and been like, so I'm good. I'm out. Like I will find another career. Yeah. So I am real grateful for teachers.
Yeah. And that's why I'm floating around now. Yes. Because I'm like, what am I going to do? Like 60% of it was great, but the 40% that was not was bad.
And you're like that.
And it was
enough
rough.
To make you not want
and it's enough to make, and I would never sub.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Bless the substitutes.
Yes, bless the substitutes. Absolutely.
Well, and I was lucky because I worked in a year-round school back then.
Oh, okay.
And I only subbed for the other 6th grade teachers on my team. Oh. So I knew their students.
Yes.
I knew their curriculum.
Yeah.
And I could get some of my own work done while they were doing independent stuff because it was in my own classroom.
Era. Yeah. Area.
But people that go and sub ornery kids that are naughty, bless your hearts. Yeah. Because I would rather live in a box than sub. Bless their heart.
Yeah.
Some people like it. It's not my jam.
It's amazing how many, but I'm like, I know we need subs. But
we
then like
are short.
Like,
we are short
my
on
kids
subs.
all the time are like, oh, we only have like this many subs, or it's like the same.
And then you know who it has to
time.
be? It has to be the poor secretary.
Oh, really?
If you don't have a sub and you don't have a teacher, sometimes the other assistant staff has to come in and help.
I did not know
and not do their own job.
So to me, I'm like, I want to help for that reason. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't think I could be at school for 8 hours a day.
It's really hard.
Plus,
children. It's super awkward when you're a sub because you don't have anybody to sit by at lunch and you feel like you're in high school.
I'm like, finally, I'm alone.
Because the other teachers aren't nice.
Yes.
Sometimes to subs.
Yeah,
and I did like long-term sub jobs and I hated it.
Oh man, that would be. I hadn't even think about that.
Yes, it's awkward and weird.
Sit and read my
so
book.
I just sit in my classroom, like go to the custodian's closet and have lunch with them. Like, do you know what I mean?
They're inviting.
Yeah, because they're inviting. It's a whole thing. Plus, to be honest with you, kids are super judgmental, and I don't like it when I don't know their name. Because they're a lot worse to you and they throw a lot of attitude. But if you're at a school where you know them and you're like, hi, I know your name, I'm going to call your mom.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
I still get like anxiety when I go into my son's junior high. I'm like, these kids be judging me. Like, I hate teenagers so much. I do think that as well.
Every time I walk into the high school, they're probably like, who is this lady?
I know. Look at this old lady trying to be
cool. Yes.
And I'm like, I feel so judged. I can't even like, if I pull up next to a car full of teenagers, I'm like, don't look at them. Don't look at them. I can't look at these people. Because I just feel the disrespect emanating. I can't deal with it. So I tell my students, don't come back and visit me if you have an attitude. I don't want to hear it.
Well, I also think it's so funny when my kids say something about older people, and I'm like, that's 100% how I thought about those type of like my teachers or whatever when I was in school. And I'm like, they were probably only 10 years older than me at that time. They were just out of college. Like,
when I started teaching my students, my first class was only 12 years younger than me.
Yeah.
I was 22.
And that is, I'm like, so these kids be judging us, but I'm like, y'all have no idea.
I know.
Because I also look and go, I'm 40 this year. I remember when my mom turned 40. It's insane. But
it's insane. And I don't feel that old.
Those kids will understand. Because now I'm like, why did I judge all those people?
But you know, when they go to college, all of a sudden they're like, I know nothing. Help me, Mom.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, exactly.
You thought you were a big fish. News for you.
Yeah, news for you. Yeah.
News for you.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my gosh.